his nomination. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, to take the deliberations forward, especially on the Russian polls, joining us this evening is former senior diplomat Ashok Sajjanhar on NewsR. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Welcome. So let's first try and understand very straight and simple. Why is Vladimir Putin so desperate for a big win in this particular election? Does he need an electoral mandate to continue waging a very unpopular war?
I think, thank you very much, Anil. I think as far as the war is concerned, there does not seem to be any possibility or any likelihood that is going to come to an end in the very, near or foreseeable future. So I think as far as that is concerned, Mr. Putin is going to continue whatever might be the result. I think what he's looking for, number one, in terms of getting a large number of people to come out to the polling booths and to vote, and number two, to get a very significant win from the election, is to send out a very strong message, to send out a very clear message, both domestically as well as internationally, that he is very popular, he is in control, he is in command, he has the support of the people of the country as far as continuation of the war is concerned. So I think this is what he is, the message that he is trying to send out both globally as well as domestically. And I think here he has also the 4 regions of Ukraine that he has annexed, that Russia has annexed in September of 2022. That is Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kharkiv. And he would also like to show that there is a strong support for Putin. That means those people in those regions are also supportive of the have been annexed by Russia.
Sir, when one takes a look at that overall turnout, that's now over 70% with just the final minutes for, the ballot boxes to be closed. Is this an important indicator to show, at least for Putin, to showcase that the world is behind him?
I don't think, that it can be taken really read at face value, that it is the number, what in 2018 was 67%. Today it is 70 odd percent, etc., the current indications, because there have been so many reports, of course they are unconfirmed still, that there has been a huge vote rigging, there has been forcible voting as far as the election is concerned. Maybe in the earlier elections, but the earlier elections were really not looked at with such keen interest. This election is being watched with very keen interest globally, internationally, because a war is going on at this moment. So there has been, what Putin and the establishment there in Russia has also put a lot of pressure. And we have seen that, even those candidates who might have been marginally opposed to the conflict, to the so-called special military operation, they have not been allowed to contest the election. And the 3 candidates who are standing against Putin, not one of them has been critical of what Putin is doing. Only one of them is very, in a very muffled tones, he has been against the war with Ukraine. But otherwise, the position of all the candidates has been very, very similar to what Putin has been advocating. So, there is no opposition has been allowed to come forward and to challenge President Putin. So I don't think that the numbers can really be taken at face value. And, Mr. Putin, of course, he will go to the world, and the people, the establishment in Russia will go to the world saying that, he's won a bigger, there has been a bigger participation and maybe even bigger mandate that he's got. But I think it will really have to be, we'll really have to watch it and analyze it very closely.
Ambassador, in that context, what is likely to change post these elections for Putin and Russia?
I think the confidence that Mr. Putin has, that will grow. He'll become even more stronger in terms of, going further into Ukraine. At the moment, he has about 20%. He occupies about 20% of the territory of Ukraine. The southern part of Ukraine, that is close to the Black Sea, that is still not under Russian occupation. The Odessa is not being taken. So I think he will go in a much stronger way to occupy and to apply even greater pressure as far as Ukraine is concerned. And he knows that when he is applying greater pressure on Ukraine, it is really greater pressure on the European governments as also on the US government. And in that context, I think the better that he does on ground in Ukraine, the worse that Ukraine does on ground in Ukraine, the worse it is going to be for Mr. Biden's chances, because it would be seen as his big failure, and it would be seen as a failure for the other European countries, those who have been coming forward, whether it is UK, whether it is Germany, or the others who have been coming so staunchly and strongly in support of Ukraine.
Well, when one takes a look at especially the Gen Z that Russia has, it's got a population of close to 146 million people, but the Gen Z, has almost seen, or the people who cast their vote for the first time have almost seen, a Vladimir Putin rule. Does that make, or does that, help Putin, as Gen Z in large numbers would back Putin and his ideas?
It's a big question, Mark. Anil, it's a very valid question. It's a very relevant question that you pose. But I think the opacity that we see as far as Russia is concerned, so it is not very clear as to which way, the Gen Z would be moving. Would they be sort of, more in terms of liberal ideas, or it would be, in terms of more nationalistic, more supportive of Putin, buying the narrative that Mr. Putin has been trying to advance, that it was basically the expansion of NATO that forced Russia to go into Ukraine, and if Russia had not done that, then it was imminent. It was an attack from Ukraine and by NATO was imminent and inevitable. I think increasing number of people in Russia have been buying this narrative. So it is possible that even as far as the Gen Z would also have bought this narrative. I've seen that a large number of people, the young people, technocrats, they have fled Russia. They have gone to very many Central Asian countries. They've gone to the Caucasus because they didn't want to be drafted when the drafting in September 22 started. So many of them have gone out. They have not been supportive of the Putin's initiative in launching the conflict. But I don't know whether they will also be allowed to vote freely in in the election, because we have seen that even as far as Navalny's funeral was concerned, although there was sort of so much of pressure that people should not be coming out, but there were thousands of people who came out to participate in Navalny's funeral. But we'll really have to wait and see. This Gen Z is a very important element, but which way it is moving, I think it is still quite unclear.
We'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this evening, Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar.